All right, let's talk about something that makes a lot of people in the research world, well, pretty uncomfortable: scientific retractions. It's a tough subject for sure, but as we're about to see, it's more important than ever to really get it. Not as some kind of failure, but as a vital part of how science actually works.
And that quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That's the real issue here, the stigma. You hear the word retraction, and your mind immediately jumps to failure or shame, maybe even fraud. It's this heavy cloud that just hangs over everyone involved. But is that really the whole picture?
Well, whatever we think about it, the reality is this is happening more and more. In just the last decade, the number of articles being retracted has gone up tenfold, a 10x increase. So this isn't some tiny niche problem anymore. It's a major trend that the entire academic community really needs to get its head around.
You know, with a jump that big, it's no wonder that some people have started calling retraction science's death penalty. It sounds so final, like a career-ending event that you can never come back from. It's a really powerful and, frankly, terrifying label. But let's take a breath and look at the actual numbers.
So, okay, let's put this in perspective. Even though the rate has gone up, we're still talking about an incredibly rare event. Just 2 papers for every 10,000 that get published. That's a tiny, tiny fraction. This tells me the whole system isn't broken, but something is changing in how we find and fix mistakes in the scientific record. And this right here is the most important question we could possibly ask. Because if we automatically assume every retraction equals some kind of cheating or wrongdoing, we're missing the point entirely. The real reasons behind these are way more complicated and way more nuanced than that stigma would have you believe.
So, to really get what's going on, we have to unpack the why, because not all retractions are created equal, not even close. And learning to tell the difference between them, that's the first step to building a research culture that's healthier and a whole lot more honest.
So let's look at the official definition from COPE. That's the Committee on Publication Ethics. They're the ones who set the standards. Notice the language here. It's not a punishment. It's a mechanism for correcting the literature. The whole point is to keep science reliable, to fix the record, so that all the research that comes after is built on solid ground. It's a tool, not a weapon.
Okay, let's break this down, because this is the absolute key. On one side, you've got honest error. These are the unintentional mistakes. A slip-up in the data analysis, maybe a flaw in the method you didn't see. And on the other side, you've got scientific misconduct. We're talking about things like plagiarism, just making up data, or faking peer review. The difference is intent, and that difference changes everything.
Now look at this breakdown. This is fascinating. Yeah, misconduct is the biggest single slice of the pie at 45%. But look at the rest. Honest mistakes by the author plus errors made by the journal itself, together, that's over 1/3 of all retractions. So what does that tell you? It tells you that a huge chunk of these are actually the system working correctly to fix itself, not a sign of people cheating.
But, you know, behind all these numbers and definitions and charts, there are people, researchers who have poured their lives into this work. And this process, no matter what the reason is, can have a huge personal cost.
Just listen to this quote. It's from a study where they actually talked to authors who went through this. It just reveals this deep, gut-wrenching fear. Even when you're trying to do the right thing, to correct your own honest mistake, the personal toll, the stress, the anxiety, the constant worry about your future, it's immense.
And this journey right here, it's way more common than you'd think. Just imagine it. You find a genuine mistake in your own paper. So you do the right thing. You reach out to the journal and say, hey, can we run a simple correction? And then the editor comes back and says, nope, we're doing a full retraction. You were trying to be responsible, and bam, suddenly you're in the middle of a potential career crisis.
So, why would anyone voluntarily put themselves through that? What's the motivation? This quote from an author who started their own retraction just says it all. It comes down to a deep, profound commitment to the whole point of science. It's not about avoiding getting caught. It's about protecting the integrity of science for everybody.
And here's the surprising part, the part that gives you a little hope. While that fear of your reputation being destroyed is very, very real, for a lot of these researchers, it just didn't happen. The same study found that when people acted with integrity, the community noticed. It suggests that when people have the full story, they can tell the difference between an honest mistake and a lie. Okay, so if the community can understand, how do we build on that? How do we actually shift from a culture of fear to one that supports doing the right thing? Well, it has to start with our institutions, the places that train us, employ us, and set the tone for everything.
It really comes down to 3 pillars. First, you need a central, safe place, like a help desk, where anyone can ask tough questions about integrity without worrying. Second, you need really good training, and it has to be specific to your role. And third, you need a real culture of mentorship, where talking openly about mistakes isn't just allowed, it's normal.
And that training can't be a one-size-fits-all thing. It just doesn't work. As you can see here, it needs to be targeted. Early career folks need the basics. What are the standards for authorship? How do I manage my data? What even is the retraction process? But faculty and supervisors, they need a different toolkit. They need to know how to spot the signs of stress or misconduct, how to be an ethical mentor, and how to handle an investigation if it happens.
And this is absolutely crucial. Supporting the science means supporting the scientist. Full stop. Institutions have to offer real, concrete support for people's well-being. Things like confidential consultations, peer mentoring programs, and super clear pathways to mental health services. The entire goal is to create a place where asking for help, whether it's about a data problem or your own mental health, is seen as a sign of strength, not weakness.
This quote, this is the massive shift in thinking we need. What if we stopped seeing retraction as a punishment and started seeing it as an act of repair? What if it was just a normal, even essential part of the research lifecycle? If we could truly reframe it that way, we could strip away the stigma and encourage the kind of honesty that makes all of science stronger.
So we'll leave you with a question, and this is for everyone watching, students, postdocs, faculty, deans, everyone. Take a hard look at your own institution. Is your culture designed to punish mistakes, or is it designed to support the tough, honest work of fixing them? Because in the end, protecting science and protecting scientists, they aren't two different things. They're exactly the same thing.